everybody. Well, we're so excited today to bring you another interview. We love talking with composers. I've gotten to meet a number of them over the years. And today we have the composers behind the new DreamWorks animated film, Orion in the Dark. We have Kevin Lax and Robert Lydecker here. And thank you both so much for coming on the podcast and talking with us.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, since this is your first time, we'd like to get a chance to get to know both of you. And so why don't you both introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about how you got started becoming a composer. Why don't you start, Kevin?
Hi, yeah, Kevin Lax here. And started music at a tender age, playing piano, and then really got into film music, kind of like late 80s, after watching some great films with some James Horner scores, Star Trek II, Land Before Time, Willow, amongst other composers, of course, like John Williams and whatnot. But those hold a special place in my heart. And then, just really got really interested in orchestral music and, composing, and took my high school class. My high school had a great class, introduction to like music synthesis, and then, really getting into it. And then eventually decided to go to USC, where I studied composition with Bob, as well as film music with Bob. So undergrad and graduate together. And then since then, it's all been kind of just, living the dream, more or less.
So what about you, Bob? How did you get started?
Yeah, for me as a kid, I was really into art and movies. I remember seeing Star Wars on like a projection in my library. So like it was a really cool experience. I loved Ninja Turtles, and a family friend, like I was doing Scribble Scrabble at the time, and a family friend came over and drew a Ninja Turtle by hand, and I was like, oh wow, I want to learn how to do that. So became interested in film through art. And then as I got older, kind of got more interested into music, started playing drums, singing in choir. And then my family had a computer where I could write music on it. I just found a program where you could write music, and I started just clicking random notes, and then eventually figured out how it worked and just kind of fell in love with that.
That's cool.
And then the love of like movies and art as a kid, and then composing music as like a teenager kind of came together to be film scoring.
Yeah. So you met getting your undergrads. You were both in music degrees or film degrees. What were you?
Yeah, specifically
music
composing music.
Yeah.
So in like the classical tradition of orchestras and those instruments.
That's cool that you obviously hit it off and decided to work together.
Yeah, and we've been friends since like 2004, and then hadn't ever actually composed music together, and then did it first for a Kung Fu Panda series, which was started maybe 2 years ago, something like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess congratulations are in order. You won an Emmy. That's exciting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, for Kung Fu Panda, right?
Yeah, that's very exciting. I think you're the first Emmy winner that I've ever interviewed. Or one of the first. That's very exciting. How did that all come to be? How did you end up working on that series?
We did a blind audition, basically. We sent in some music. They were like, this is good enough for you to score 3 scenes. So we scored 3 scenes, and they were like, okay, this is good enough for us to hire you. And had a nice working relationship with everyone there.
That's cool. Wow. So did you listen to the previous Kung Fu Panda scores to kind of get an idea?
Yeah, one of the MOs was to kind of follow the dramatic. It was a TV show, but they wanted to kind of stay in like the realm of the movies. We developed our own themes, but just kind of in the John Powell, Hans Zimmer world,
Yeah.
Yeah, we love those scores, so it was cool getting to like absorb and try new stuff. But even though we were staying in that vein, actually, the showrunner said like, don't worry about trying to fill the shoes of A-list legendary composers. So that was kind of a load off, which was nice.
Well, obviously successful.
Yeah, that's
winning
true.
an Emmy. That's very cool. Are you excited for the new movie, Kung Fu Panda?
Totally. Of course, coming out. Yeah,
a couple weeks. That will be fun. Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. How did you get involved with Orion in the Dark? How did that happen?
Well, it was another blind demo via DreamWorks. Maybe, I mean, I think, Bob and I went through the same process of submitting initially, like you submit like a collection of music, and then they're like, oh, these composers seem like a good fit. And then, as Bob mentioned, you go through like a demo process where they give you excerpts. And what's one of the benefits of having like our working relationship is you get to often try two options for some of these cues. And that can really help filmmakers see like, oh, I have like something to choose from here. I can kind of see where they're going with this one. And so I think Sean Sharmatz, the director of Orion the Dark, really took to that. And then we really hit it off with him. I think having some rapport with DreamWorks helped a little, but it was still essentially a blind demo, which is kind of a cool process that DreamWorks goes through to really kind of have a unbiased approach, Oh,
that's interesting. So when you're working on this kind of film, do they give you like character designs or like, here's the story beats that you need to hit this kind of, we need a softer moment here, we need a bigger moment here. Like, how does that whole process work?
The first thing we got actually was the script, and that was when we were demoing. So we got to know the whole story. And then I think the next thing was we had a meeting, and in that they showed us a few excerpts of the film and kind of talked about like their vision. We asked Sean kind of about his personal connection to the story, but and then eventually we just see the whole movie. And so
what's kind of cool about too, what we experience in Kung Fu Panda is sometimes you're given like iterations of the animation, so it might be pretty early on. It was pretty well filled out for Orion the Dark, but like Kung Fu is sometimes working off like animatics, so you're still kind of like, and then you're sometimes you can be informed by just, well, oftentimes like just when it really fills out, the beauty of like the graphics and like the lighting can really kind of be a nice creative surge for the composing. So it's kind of an interesting evolution because as like more and more iterations of the movie come out, you get a little better informed just what it's going to look like as a composer.
For Orion, like the texture of the film and like the visuals were a huge part of the inspiration because it has kind of like that hand-drawn, they're like sketchy kind of line work, even with the CG, and then obviously the lighting, it taking place at night. But then, so how they did that was really beautiful and inspiring, and kind of made us think probably differently musically than if we had just had, rough animatics.
Yeah, there are a lot of characters in the movie, and you have this sort of anxiety that you have to deal with. And I was thinking, watching it, like this must have been challenging to sort of know how to accompany this anxious feeling of the story.
Yeah, I mean, so in the first scene, Orion's talking about all his anxieties, and that was one of the first scenes we worked on because we actually that was one of the scenes we used for our demo. But I remember Sean, the director, kind of saying, like, don't approach it in an anxious way. It's more like Orion's almost like matter of fact, and there's like almost not like an optimism, but he was like, we want to endear the character to us, so we kind of touched on those things like the innocence of him and there.
Yeah.
But then of course there's specific beats where we do play up the anxiety, but a lot of the film was about kind of connecting with the characters and their relationship.
Yeah, well, there was a whimsy to it all that I thought was charming, that I enjoyed
exactly.
too.
You put it better than me.
Well, one thing I thought might be challenging was it hard to figure out how to accompany quiet?
We thought about doing no music.
Yeah.
Because you don't have much, but there's a little there.
It was a little more like soundscapey for
Yeah.
that, and then trying to have, and then as you mentioned, kind of the anxiety of it. We had that where Orion can't handle the quiet, so and then it's like, and it's kind of nice when a film goes after having a lot of sound effects, a lot of music. When a film goes really quiet, it's a pretty dramatic effect. So it was kind of nice in that moment to kind of emphasize. Some of us kind of can kind of experience that anxiety when there's like no noise, or you're just hearing like your own heartbeat, and so it was kind of a good moment there for that.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like there was like a synthetic, like electronic kind of feel to the arrangements. Was that fun to add in?
Yeah, I think early on we thought about, well, what if we start bringing in that stuff more when we go into the fantasy world and the night world of dark, to try to make a shift from reality. Yeah, and those sounds are always just fun to explore, just because you're making them from scratch as opposed to just, okay, here's a violin, we know what this sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When there's an outright song in the movie, how does that work? You working with songwriters and singers and things like that? Like how does that work with a score?
Yeah, well, I think Sean had the director had a pretty strong vision, I think, for a couple needle drops. And Bob and I, or usually the composers, are super involved. Although in this, we had to kind of like cater, you have to be kind of mindful of like the key that you're entering. So it's not like an abrupt shift unless that's kind of by design. But we did have to, there's a Tame Impala song in there to kind of smoothly get out of. And then Bob and I actually produced a song for, they're hoping to license, but it kind of fell through with a band. So for the initial light / like sunshine moment, Bob and I composed a song for that. So sometimes the composer steps in, but sometimes it's also, you have to be kind of just mindful of what the licensing team wants to do in terms of where they want to place some needle drops and how to work around that score wise.
So did you get to like record, like, was there like an orchestra or something like that you record the score?
Yeah, we actually recorded orchestra and choir in Budapest. And then we had a bunch of soloists, because a lot of the score focuses on woodwinds. So we had those players record on their own in Los Angeles. And actually some different places too. But
that must be an amazing moment when you get everybody together and you're actually playing the music.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I bet.
Yeah, this one was a bit of like a patchwork because we had to like bring in soloists with orchestra and choir from Europe, and then Bob and I also did our own things, of course, our layers, our organic layers, and then compose or like synths and stuff. So it was a challenging process. It was kind of like a Rubik's Cube at time, but we had a great mixer, and yeah, as you mentioned, it's also really rewarding when you hear everything come together, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, I think there were only like 2 minutes of score where we recorded everyone at the same time, but it was all just pieced together, like Kevin said. So
very cool. So did you get to go to the premiere that they had?
We did.
Yeah.
That was really exciting. It's really cool seeing it on the big screen.
I bet.
But then also with an audience, there were like people who didn't work on it, so that was fun. Just hearing laughter, and my daughter came and she was almost 2.
Yeah.
She was crying at the end.
Aww. Yeah, it's such a sweet little movie. I really enjoyed it. I think I wish something like this had been around when I was a kid. I think it would have been really nice to have something that's just so honest and truthful about anxiety and your experiences and all of that. I think it's great.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah,
no, that was kind of a nice part of composing what this film was. While there's kind of like some sweet or like kind of playful moments, there's also a really nice message, about leaning into your fears and learning to live with that sensation as opposed to avoiding it, or so it was cool to kind of be part of that delivery on some level.
Well, it must have been neat too to hear your music with this incredible animation.
Yeah, and we were lucky the mixer gave the music a pretty good level. So because we've written music before, and then we go to we watch it and we're like, oh, we can't hear the music. All that music we spent so much work on. So yeah, it's nice. It played well and really gratifying.
I know. I wish I could see it on the big screen.
Yeah, we wish everyone.
That's a bummer. It's just
Yeah.
Netflix, but
Yeah.
I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a very sweet little movie, and I think people should give it, if they're like a little, oh, what, they should give it a shot, because it's really sweet.
Totally.
Yeah, and funny.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
All right. Well, we like to end our interviews with some fun get to know you questions. So, first
My
question.
anxiety. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, your anxiety.
Yeah, I know. Now.
You're dark. Is what is the best ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip.
The best or my favorite?
Your favorite?
Yeah. Oh shoot, I haven't had ice cream in a long time, so this is tough. But it is kind of.
You won
well,
an Emmy. You need to eat some ice cream. What is
I know. Well, yeah. When I was a little kid, went to Jamaica when I was like 2, and I still have vivid memories of the ice cream there. It was like the best
Oh.
ice cream I've ever had, and it was like strawberry, pistachio. Those are the flavors I remember the most, but those aren't my favorite. I'd probably just go with like chocolate or something with nuts.
chocolate? Okay, good.
How about you,
Well,
Rachel?
I think my favorite is probably Rocky Road. Probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Classic.
So good. All right. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
I'll just say green.
Okay, good.
Baby blue.
All right. What music are you into aside from your own music?
Nothing.
Kevin Lax, his music.
Oh.
Yeah, I grew up loving like punk bands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
90s love ballads.
Oh. Well, you
And
like.
orchestral music.
I saw at Sundance. I saw the Luther Vandross documentary. It was
Awesome.
excellent, outstanding. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it. Okay, what is your go-to date night food?
Oh. Pizza?
Pizza. Okay.
Like where would I go for a date?
Yep.
Oh.
I mean, my go-to food anytime is Mexican or Indian. So
Okay.
yeah, no matter what.
Maybe I'll throw in Thai as well.
Okay. Good. All right. What is your go-to date night activity for going out and doing something?
It's terrible, but I used to like to go on free dates.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
As long as it's free.
So like an event.
Okay.
Yeah. Something that's like
Yeah.
something that's unique too. Like it's like, some outdoor festival that's like just happening on this street at this one time. Yeah.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Actually, it was kind of a fun date night too. Is those like ones where you like paint something, where you bring like a bottle of wine and you like
yeah.
paint ceramic. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I know
mean,
those.
like,
Yeah.
Something creative or something you guys can do together. So there's like an action.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Those are fun. Those would be fun. All right, which do you like better, dogs or cats?
Cats.
I hate them both.
I hate them both.
No, I love them both. I don't know. I have 2
Yeah.
crazy dogs right now. So my only relationships are with dogs.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to say. But yeah.
Dogs too, but yeah, I think I grew up with cats, so I think I'm a little internal bias.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's
Yeah.
why you're a good match working together, because one of you likes cats and one of you likes dogs.
Exactly.
There you go. All right, which do you like better, beaches or mountains?
This is a toss up. I think I lean mountains.
I'm gonna say mountains.
Okay,
Oh.
good.
So
All
maybe
right.
That's a lie. But
That's a lot.
That's okay. All right, what's your favorite holiday to celebrate?
Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, good.
The pies.
Oh, the pies. That's your favorite? Is that your go-to?
Baking pies. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
You
Yeah.
know pies at
Oh.
Christmas?
Well, I guess it's just, I don't know. I kind of associate like pumpkin and pecan, but
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
make a pie
More
anytime, really.
autumnal. But
How about you,
yeah.
Rachel?
My favorite holiday to celebrate? Well,
Yeah.
I am actually the host of the Hallmarkies podcast. And so I live, breathe Christmas almost year round. So
Yeah. When does your Christmas music start? April?
early.
Yeah.
Well, it never stops.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to write some Christmas music for you.
But yeah, hey, yeah. And we're covering on that podcast, we cover Christmas movies literally year round. And then starting the Hallmark season starts in October. So Countdown to Christmas starts in October. So yeah, we're busy.
Neat. Yeah.
But I love Christmas. Yeah. Although it is way more fun when you have kids or kids with you. Christmas is way more fun. But okay. Well, last question. What is your favorite animated film? And you can
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away?
Yeah.
Yeah, good choice.
I'll probably say Little Mermaid.
No, that's my favorite.
I was just thinking about that, or we were just talking about it recently, and I was thinking I saw it like 3 times in the theater, and I was remembering like standing up at the end and applauding, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both of those would be my top 5 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Spirited Away and Little Mermaid.
Sometimes hard to choose, but
yeah. No, those are amazing. Well, very good. You did it. You answered all the questions. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with me and sharing with us your experience with this movie. And I'm excited to see what y'all do next.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel.
It was so much fun to get to meet Bob and Kevin. Thank you so much to both of them. And let me know what you think about all the things we talked about. It's always so interesting to hear about the behind the scenes of these films. And I'd love to hear what you think of Orion and the Dark. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes, and at Rotoscopers. I have a lot of different articles and interviews over there. And also, you can find me at Hallmarkies Podcast. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. Also have the Patreon group and merch store. You can #Animation Junkie shirts. So check that out. And thanks again. And we'll talk to y'all later.